Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for Bauer's News Corner, where I break a news story that really interests me. And Fantasy Flight Games just dropped a bomb. They announced the 25th faction for Twilight Imperium. A new faction has arrived in Twilight Imperium, first revealed as part of the Twilight Codex Volume 3. The Council Keleres joins Twilight Imperium's roster as its 25th faction. How fitting for the year of the game's 25th anniversary. Read on to learn a bit about the Council and its motivations for joining the fray. Across the galaxy, planetary governors compete for trade opportunities. The great civilizations joust for superiority on the battlefront. And still other, more insidious factions play at shaping galactic history for their own ends. In a galaxy fraught with so many agendas, it's no surprise that the Galactic Council took it upon itself to assemble a force of its own to manage its affairs. The Keleres of the Council are that force, but they are also something more. They are a ragtag army of bureaucrats, soldiers, and spies, often at odds with themselves and not always appreciated by the galaxy they serve. Ooh, the word spies gets me intrigued. Though the Keleres are born of the Galactic Council, they are often left to their own devices, traveling the galaxy, brokering peace, intervening in conflicts, and tackling threats to galactic civilizations as a whole. That one's misspelled there. They might want to, no, it's not. I just don't know how to spell. They even act without the consent of the tribunal or the Galactic Council when timeliness is a factor only to be censured by the Galactic Council after the fact. The member states of the Council send recruits who are selected according to the traditions of each individual planet or system to serve in the Keleres. The great powers have learned since the Keleres founding that the Keleres are a useful tool for furthering their own designs. Rather than sending their best operatives away to the Keleres, many send political opponents, incompetents, dangerous prisoners, and other individuals who are difficult to do away with and undesirable to have around. I love where this is going. On the other hand, a few great powers find it prudent to send highly competent personnel, sometimes out of respect for the Galactic Council, but more often than not, to clandestinely advance their own goals. The Keleres, then, are a strange and difficult order to manage. That gets me so excited. The Galactic Council elects 3 of its own to be the tribunal of the Keleres. Members of the Council treat the responsibility with mixed sentiment, as both an honor and a burden. The tribunali have the power to command the Keleres and to implement the designs of the Galactic Council in a concrete way. However, the mixed quality of the Keleres means having to accept no small number of failures, which, in turn, can hurt the tribunali when members of the Galactic Council seek accountability. Canny tribulini, such as tribuni, I don't know why I'm having so much hard with that word. Tribuni quasi awan dulate learn when best to use the Keleres, when to set them aside, and who among the ranks are right for the job. The fraught political environment means that most counselors don't serve as tribunally long. In the 5 years since the Keleres founding, there have been 7 tribuni, including the current holders of the office. 2 were forced to resign in disgrace, 1 was killed on a mission, and 1 was assassinated in an intra-agency power struggle. For those tribuni who met and overcame the challenges of utilizing the force of the Keleres, however the fruits are significant indeed, it requires much talent for this to happen. But when it does, it can tip the balance of the Galactic Council itself. The 3 tribuni who currently serve are in delicate balance, and therefore the future of the Keleres and the Imperium itself may be at a tipping point. Kuwasi is oldest and wisest amongst them. Harka leads as ambitious and cunning as she is ruthless in her schemes. Olden Mir, though, new to the role, brings a fresh perspective and hope for unity and stability in the Imperium. Despite the delicate balance of power between the tribuni, the Keleres represent the Galactic Council and as such must embody the unit of the galaxy, not just the whims of its leaders. The great civilizations, however, frequently compete with one another in trade, war, and politics. Though some conflicts can cement the bonds of a society, too much can just as easily rip it apart. Thus, the diverse skills of the Keleres are brought to bear on missions of peace and negotiation. At times, the Keleres act as a neutral party or temporary ally among factions at war. Negotiation, knowledge of history, and familiarity with alien species pave the way to peace and prosperity for this galaxy. They broker peace on this one hand, but join battles on the other, especially when violence seems to be the only means to stability. If you haven't read the latest Codex volume yet, you can find it here. Be sure to check it out and learn more about the Council Keleres and the other recent new additions to Twilight Imperium. So let's see if we can check that out. So this was the Well, this is a whole other story. A vengeful ghost. So what is this? What is Genesis? A universal role-playing game or narrative gear? What in the world? Do you see what it says to save the Galaxy Cup? So this is the role-playing... Oh, so this is one of the things they're showing. The Omega Initiative section is a regular feature that contains supplementary or revised contests. This edition of the Codex contains several reworks of Prophecy of Kings leader content, as well as a fresh take on a particular set of secret objectives. These cards can be found in the high-quality PDF found alongside this document. They are the standard American mini-cards and replace the corresponding counterparts from the Prophecy of Kings expansion. Fascinating. So they're saying we would recommend putting these into your game. Because they're going to make your gaming experiences better. That is some absolutely spectacular customer service. Kudos to Fantasy Flight Games. They're treating this like a trading card game where they want to keep it alive and keep it active, and I love that. Like in the Yin Brotherhood, the Nalu Collective also see a number of revisions with this edition of the Codex. In addition, but two of their leaders, their mech has also been adjusted. Some secret objectives adjusted. The exploration cards. Let's get to these new heroes, or the new race, the new tribe. Here we go. The new faction, the Council Keleres. With this edition of the Codex, an additional faction has been added to the existing 24 factions, the Council Keleres. Their components are shown below on the following pages. All right, let's do it. I'm excited. Let's zoom in on this one. So there's some of their agents, commanders. Anytime you may exhaust this card to allow any player to spend commodities as if they were trade goods. And so this is such an interesting faction, by the way. I am super excited to play like this. This seems like a very high skill faction because it even alluded to the fact that you need to know what the other races do. And if you know what the other races do, then you're going to be trying to keep everything at balance. You're like, oh, this looks like they're going to win this war, so I have to make sure that I help these people over here by maybe allowing them to do this because they have a lot of commodities, but they don't have goods. So this is fascinating. After you perform a component action, you may perform an additional action. Okay. Spend one trade good after you play an action card that has a component action. Wow, nice. Faction, so they have their own tech. Let's check it out. Whenever you resolve one of your production abilities, you may resolve an additional one of your production abilities in any system. The additional use does not trigger this ability. Wow. That seems nice. You're going to be spread out across the galaxy, presumably. Your neighbors with all players that have units or control planets in or adjacent to the Mecatol Rex. Whoa! Gain in the Custodia, because that's going to be ever in flux, and that could be a couple different people there. You cannot lose these cards. This cannot have an extra Y, so that's fantastic. Then their Keleres mech. Other players must spend one influence to commit ground forces to the planet that contains this unit. So if you just put these on other units, like, wow. Okay, those are really interesting. So we have the new heroes. At the start of the round of space combat in a system that contains a planet you control, place your flagship and up to a total 2 cruisers and or destroyers from your reinforcement in the active, then purge this card. Unlock, you have 3 scored objectives. Available if you choose this Argent flight during setup. So this looks like a really cool expansion. Operation Archon. You may cast up to 6 additional votes on this agenda. Predict aloud an outcome of this agenda. For each player that votes for another outcome, gain 1 trade good and 1 command token. So you're winning no matter what. Nice. Unlock, have 3 scored objectives. So these are what you're going to get. Reveal cards from the action card deck until you reveal 3 action cards that have component actions. Draw these cards and shuffle the rest back. That's really nice. The Custodia Vigila and Promissory Note. The legendary Keleres. While you control Mecatol Rex, it gains Space Cannon 5 and Production 3. Wowzers! Gain 2 command tokens when another player scores VP using Imperial. Fascinating. Then there's a board. All right, Custodia Vigila. The fully realized, and this is all right. After an agenda is revealed, you cannot vote on this agenda. Predict aloud an outcome of the agenda. If your prediction is correct, draw 1 action card and gain 2 trade goods. Fantastic. Good looking board. You got the Keleres flagship. Other players must spend 2 influence to activate the system. Wow, to activate the system, that's 2 influence. That's awesome. And that's the story. Fantastic. Love it. Reference cards, beautiful. All right, there you go. So that is the Council Awaits. That's the breaking news. The 25th faction for Twilight Imperium. And I think if you're a Twilight Imperium fan, this is like, yes, please. Like, I have a feeling that when this comes into my game, not my game, but my buddy Alan, I've got the 3rd edition, he's got the 4th edition, we're going to have to roll off to get this, because there's going to be at least 3 of us that want this, if not more, because I think if you're a diehard Twilight Imperium fan, just the idea of having to try and control the balances sounds so fun, because sometimes it's so hard to predict what people are going to do, especially with wormholes. As you progress through the game and you start to get, war suns, and you're like cards and action cards, and all of a sudden somebody can be jumping 4 spaces, and to try and just predict or to maybe even steer people in a certain direction on how they're going to try and win the game, that is just a fascinating concept. And I am beyond excited to try this one out. That is the new faction. And this was Bauer's News Corner. This is a new segment where I break news. Let me know what you think about this segment. Let me know how I can make improvements. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Bye-bye. I should do this and then say bye.